Together, the skincare and cosmetics industries are worth over $400 billion. These are two industries that I hadn't really thought that much about, but I'm exploring the beautiful Valencia, Spain. Aside from the beautiful architecture, buildings, history, and everything that I've been exploring, there's one thing that has really caught my attention, and it's that these two things are incredibly cheap here. So cheap that I could probably fill up my suitcases, pay to have them shipped back to America, import tax, Amazon fees, and still be working with a 50 or 60% margin. Of course, these are retailers, not wholesalers, so that makes me more than a little bit curious what kind of margins they're working with. And so a couple of Google searches later, come to find out that margins in the realm of 80 to 90% in the United States are totally normal. If you don't know, those are really good margins. And I think you know where I'm going with this. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through a whole bunch of successful cosmetics and skincare brands, what made them successful, what strategies they employed. And if you're interested in building your own beauty brand, cosmetics brand, skincare brand, make sure to make it through to the end of this video. But first, I got a flight to catch. You girls ready? Welcome to Fez, Morocco. Now, I did not realize this until I got here, but it is actually Ramadan.
The call to prayer. We're living near a mosque.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
If you don't know what Ramadan is, it's a month of the year where Muslims don't eat or drink during the day. The answer to your next question is a resounding no. I can't seem to find coffee anywhere, and I am officially lost. I hope you enjoy this journey with me. If you've never been to the Medina in Fez, it's a real trip. I've hit like 5 dead ends. It really is just starting to feel like I'm getting deeper into a labyrinth that actually doesn't have an exit. So most people watching this probably know that a brand is a name, a brand is maybe a logo, it has to look good. But what most people probably don't know is that brand is a feeling, it's a connection. Most of the time, if you look at a brand, you know what it does and who it's for just by the way that it looks. The reason that I want to go through the branding section of this video first is because it will tie into absolutely everything that you do. Contrary to conventional wisdom, people do actually judge books by their covers. 80% of people will reject a product that they see on the shelf simply because it doesn't look like it's for them. For my own skincare, I use a brand called Jack Black. It's dark, it's blue, it's manly. The real reason that I like the product is that it doesn't leave my skin feeling oily, but I would never even have tried it if it didn't look like it was for me. Perhaps even more noteworthy is that it is not cheap. So it's made for a man, an aging man, still a young man probably, but somebody who does have a little bit of extra money to splurge on something that most men find a little bit superfluous. If you were to take a brand like Kira Moon, for example, you're gonna find that they are super out there. That super like 90s retro style, it's going to make somebody who's like Gen Z feel really comfortable. Companies like Kira Moon are extremely bold in their branding. They're saying, we want these people and these people only, but these people really resonate with the brand. They look at it one time and they can say, this is clearly for me. Take a look at a brand like Oral Gold, for example. There are some anti-aging benefits of gold, but they really don't stress those. They just talk about the cleaning properties, which is total bollocks. But the important thing for them is that they rent out expensive high street storefront locations where people who want to look rich shop. And as scammy as I find this brand, it's actually kind of genius because these people really resonate with this type of thing. It's the same type of person who might put gold flakes on their steak, might install a gold toilet. They give them some sort of validation. Branding is all about how you connect with the brand, like how it makes you feel, what you think of it when you first see it. But that isn't limited just to the way it looks, it also matters how you come into contact with it. Eminence is a skincare brand. Sure, it looks like it's, you know, close to nature, it looks like there are no harmful ingredients, I would guess those things from the packaging, but what actually sets them apart is the fact is that they've placed themselves in spas. Now, a spa is something of a premium experience. The people who can afford a spa are probably not the lowest tier of buyers in, you know, any given market. And even if that lower tier does actually go to a spa, they're going to see the Eminence products and think of it as a premium product. It's a premium brand that spas use. Now, one of the most important things that I recommend that everybody do if they're starting any kind of brand, skincare or otherwise, is build something called an avatar. If you don't know what an avatar is, it's basically a fake person who would be your customer. Create 1, create 3, however many you think is appropriate. Here's what that would look like if I was making an avatar for Glossier. Actually, I just found a cafe back here, so I guess that's me out. Just a quick fun fact, Morocco was the first country to recognize the United States as an independent nation. This is one of the most satisfying cups of coffee I have had in some time. If I were to make an avatar for Glossier, for example, what I would do is I would pick out a woman in the demographic. I would say, I would first first I would generate an AI image of her. You can also pick a stock photo, but the AI generation forces you to describe who the person is exactly the way she looks. First, generate, her name is Ashley, she's 25 years old. She lives alone in a small flat. She has 2 dogs that she treats like her own. Her favorite food is bagel and cream cheese with a side salad. She has big eyebrows that she embraces and wears very minimal makeup. She watches YouTubers, like travel vloggers specifically, instead of like Netflix or cable or anything like that. Think about things like where she shops, what kind of products she uses, how she likes to style her hair, anything that is relevant to your product, but specifically you're trying to pinpoint who this person is, what their habits are. You're not going to figure out what type of person they are, but you can figure out what types of products they will buy and where their needs are and are not being filled. The brand that I'm building in this video, I'm calling Night and Light. We're specifically focused on morning and nighttime routines. That's kind of the keywords that we're pinging off of. And so if I were to do this exercise for my brand that I'm building right now for this video, my avatar, or at least my first avatar, she is a woman. She's 30 years old. Her name is Jasmine. She has wavy hair. She dries it naturally. She doesn't blow dry it. She's careful with her style, her clothing, and every single piece in her wardrobe tells a story of travel, because she loves to travel and she does it every chance she gets. She's very into her personal style, and it's sort of earthy but still elegant, not like super hippie. She aspires to be a minimalist. She's a pescatarian. She's from Southwest London, but she travels every chance she gets to catch the sun. She is in a committed relationship but not married. She's very vocal about things like self-love and self-care. She loves meditation, yoga, journaling. She's the type of person who splurges a little bit on things like ginger shots and wheatgrass shots. She is spiritual but not religious. She tries to avoid chemicals in her products. She's not always successful, but she tries. She practices gratitude every morning, and she thrives on routine. So once you've created your avatar for your brand, the next step, in my opinion, is to create a vision board. This is gonna kind of guide the rest of the entire process. So it's important that you let it flow freely. This shouldn't be organized. It should be like your vision for who your ideal customer is, the exact look that appeals to them. This is almost like a brainstorming session, like you're throwing up everything on paper. I could do this session myself, but I'm gonna turn this over to the person who does the branding for all of my companies, my beautiful wife, Deborah.
When I think about the branding, I don't just think about the website by itself. I think about target customer, what sort of space do they surround themselves in? What sort of skincare range would they reach for? What do they eat? Do they meditate? Do they eat a certain food? How do they talk about products? I create a vision board and a style guide. The style guide, it goes into fonts, color schemes, and sort of Instagram-ish photos that would be applied into the social media. Then I look at websites that I like the sort of style at, and I create this sort of cohesive Canva page, and with that I send that to one of our little assistants designers, who then creates a cohesive website. We have had the domain Night and Light. As we know we want to create this brand, we thought, okay, Night and Light makes sense. It's night and light. Makes me think of day and night, sort of morning routines and evening routines. With that, I think the person who's very intentional about their morning and nighttime routine will also read blog posts and really be meditative about this sort of things and very ritual orientated. So we're going to find a logo sort of design that encapsulates the name. We're gonna find a font that speaks to the free-spirited but organized individual. Jasmine is someone who, she goes thrift storing sometimes. She's into her little hobbies here and there. She travels a lot. She's aware of trends, but she picks what suits her. She doesn't go with the norm of a trend.
In this section of the video, I'm going to discuss 5 different skincare brands, what they get right, what we as entrepreneurs can learn from them. I'm going to be weaving through everything from packaging to branding to product formulation. In the skincare industry, there are lots of companies that will push their product formulation as their unique selling point. By that I mean fresh, daily, no harmful chemicals, or whatever. Lush is probably the biggest one that comes to mind, where it's, handmade by an individual person. They actually put the picture of the person who made your product on the packaging, which I think is genius, really humanizes the entire process. But there's another company that I really want to highlight, and that's British company Tropic Skincare, founded by 15-year-old Susie Ma, famously on her kitchen table. Tropic Skincare is a vegan, cruelty-free, all all-natural skincare brand that now boasts thousands of ambassadors. And with as successful as the company has been, I think that the story is important to tell because the company, Skin Tropics, and its founder, Susie Ma, was not always big and successful. She actually started at the age of 15 to help her mom pay bills. I just want to highlight really quick that this gate that I just walked through is twice as old as my whole country. As touching as Susie Ma's story really is, the reason that it's relevant to you is because the entire company is built literally by normal ingredients on a kitchen table by a 15-year-old mixed with just a little bit of passion and the need. I think that that's one of the most important things, is that the need was there. But I think even more relevant to the story is that the whole thing was just so dead simple. She mixed a bunch of ingredients, created an old family recipe, and went to sell it at Greenwich Market. This is really high. I need a break. Now, if you don't know, Greenwich Market is not a place where you sell skincare. If you've never been there before, you'd be forgiven for not knowing that it's really the place where old men sell their vintage coins and similar, you know, tourist knickknacks as well. But she went and sold £1,000 worth of product in her first day. There's somebody catching up to me, and I'll be damned if he surpasses me, so I gotta get going. So the lesson here is that skincare really can be that simple. You simply make it in your kitchen counter, on your kitchen table, and you go sell it at the local market. Now, Greenwich Market, it does not have a high bar to get in. It costs £15 a day, and literally anybody can go sell there. Even if you're not British, you can fly to the UK and sell there. Now, Susie, of course, has turned that entire message, the all-natural, made on my kitchen counter thing, into her branding. That's her story. That's what actually sells her product. And 18 years later, that kid is now one of the biggest moguls in the industry. When you're building your own business, I want you to remember, like Susie Ma, stay hungry, stay curious, pretend like you don't know a goddamn thing, because the truth is, you don't. Until you're one of the most successful people in the industry, you don't know a thing. Go sell at a market. Go make your product from scratch, or don't. Susie Ma and Tropic Skincare is in stark contrast with another brand that I really want to highlight here, Alya Skincare. It was founded by two Australian men named Manny Barbas and James Hatcham. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know that they don't care about the product at all, but certainly not in the way that Susie Ma does. It is just like this random cheap product manufactured from China, the now insta-famous pink Himalayan mask. Now, this mask, by the way, that they sell for 50 Aussie dollars on their website, you can buy for about $1 Aussie dollar on Alibaba. Absolutely nuts that they'd be working with 98% margins. Okay. I may have underestimated how far I had to go. That's what's waiting for me. Manny and James, they did not know a damn thing about skincare. And I'm sort of in that same boat. I don't know anything about skincare, so I'm paying very close attention to their story. Now, as you can imagine, their story does not begin with skincare. These guys are best friends, which sometimes makes great business partners, but also sometimes makes things very difficult. Based on how they describe themselves, I guess you could call them trend forecasters. There are tons of like blogs out there that are like trying to microanalyze every little thing that these two guys say because they're, you know, like such a huge success. But if you read what they actually say, what they actually said, why they're a success, it's something like, oh yeah, we went onto Instagram and we noticed that there's a big trend toward products that are Instagrammable. Yeah, real original, guys. Genius, right? I don't want to take anything from them. They did correctly predict, you know, its trend on social media, but there are two other things that they did really, really well that those other companies didn't do. They formed a brand around it. They paid very close attention to their packaging and they created something of an experience. Like we discussed branding earlier, the branding is your connection, the way that you make your customers feel. That ties directly in with your packaging, with the colors, with the message that you're sending, with the vibe that you're helping people to feel. And of course, for Alya Skin, it tied directly into their micro-influencer marketing campaign.
One thing that I completely forgot to mention that was absolutely vital to Alya Skincare's success was that they gathered 1,000 influencers' contact details to ship them out free products for free advertising, basically. And your average solo entrepreneur or even duo entrepreneurs really can't afford to take that much time to do something like that. And that's exactly where a service like Glow Assistance comes into play. We're an outsourcing agency where you can outsource pretty much any job that can be done from a laptop. That we do everything from web design to native English-speaking content writing, SEO and social media management, as well as things like gathering these contact details of influencers. We can do pretty much anything that can be done from a laptop.
Headed back into the blue city. The first thing that Alya Skincare got right was their entire marketing concept, turning a TikTok trend or an Instagram trend into a brand that people feel and connect with. Now, in so doing that, they have created something called a hero product. Now, a hero product is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's like one product that your customers really know you for and they really resonate with, But more importantly, you wouldn't really have a hero product if you didn't have supplementary products to go with it. A lot of these sort of TikTok or Instagram trend-based companies, this is where they fail. First, they fail to create sort of a loyal fan base that you need for additional products, and then because of that, they fail to bring new products to market. Ultimately, there is really nothing special about Manny and James. They're not marketing experts, they're not skin experts, they're not business experts. They're just two super normal Australian dudes who shot their shot. And mind you, it's not the first time that they shot their shot. They had several, failed or semi-failed businesses prior to this. The most successful business people that I know try again, will have several failures under their belts before they have success. And they essentially followed this formula. It goes something along the lines of identify a TikTok or Instagram trend, find a product on Alibaba, build a brand around it, market it however you know how, whether that's with micro-influencers or whatever method that you have, and then create more product. Because ultimately your goal is to create a horde of loyal customers who are going to buy your other products too. So that's really where your money is, when you have a whole bunch of people who really connect on an emotional level with your brand. They will continue buying for you. And this can work in pretty much any niche. The very next skincare brand that I want to focus on is called Temple. There's absolutely nothing special about this brand except that they specifically market to black men. Temple's a British company started by co-founders Adam and Raphael in the UK. I think it would be fair to say that the black male market, at least in terms of skincare, is very underserved. And at the same time, I think that their messaging is absolutely spot on. They said, we're tired of big brands putting nasty chemicals in products that are geared toward black men. So Temple is working a very underserved niche. And in so doing, at least in this particular case, they're doing something called niching down. Now, niching down is a marketing strategy where you are picking a very small niche to target. In this case, we're talking about black men who care enough about their skin to spend extra on all natural ingredients, things that are specifically tailored to them. That is a pretty small niche. It's certainly smaller than, say, skincare for women, or even skincare for black women, or even skincare for black women who care enough about their skin that they're willing to spend extra on all natural ingredients. But there is a benefit to doing this, and this is what Temple really gets right. When their target market sees the product, they know it's for them. They see the messaging, they see the branding, they see everything about this brand resonates with everything that they are. And this really brings us back to the avatars that we made at the beginning of this video. If you're like a skincare brand like Glossier or something like that, you might have 10 avatars, 10 different people who really resonate with your brand. If you're a Temple, you might still have 10 avatars, or you might only have one, but they're going to be very specific people. Now, the reason you might consider this strategy for your own business, for your own brand, is that everything from marketing to messaging to customer identification to advertising becomes just so much easier. Now, if you are selling a product, you're never just selling a product. You are selling a solution to a problem that your customer has, or you are filling a gap between where they are and where they want to be. And it doesn't really matter how big or how small your market is. If your market is exactly one person, but that one person can pay you $1 million, you've got a business, which is exactly what Temple does. They charge a premium to a very niche market, and they really resonate with that market, and they give back to communities across Africa, which probably resonates a lot more with British black people, which is where they're based. Another brand that niches down, definitely not to the same extent, but they do niche down, is Glossier. Glossier was started back in 2014 by Emily Weiss. I just have to say before I continue on that we're supposed to go back to Spain after the last clip that was recorded, but we're actually still in Morocco. It's been 1 week of travel and about 2 weeks of all-inclusive resorts, and I cannot recommend Morocco enough, especially this hotel that we're staying at. This is called Kenzi Europa, and it has been absolutely amazing. When you go to Cancun or similar, all-inclusives are like $300 to $500 a night. But this place is actually relatively super cheap. If you're in the United States and you're thinking about an all-inclusive holiday, I would definitely recommend checking out other places like this, like Agadir, like Kenzi Europa. Glossier was started back in 2014 by Emily Weiss. If you go back and you look at a tool like SEMrush or Ubersuggest or any of those like SEO tools that can kind of tell you the history of Google searches and things like that, you will see that intothegloss.com was getting something leading up to that time in 2014 when they launched Glossier. They were getting around something like 15 to 30,000 hits a month. I don't know if I need to be the one to tell you this, but that isn't actually that hard to do. In 2023, I have websites that are less than a year old that are actually
already hitting those numbers, you know, like 1,000 hits a day. If you're looking at like a 2013 or 2014 intothegloss.com, it is like literally just a blog about how to do your makeup. It's really nothing that complicated, and they turned it into a business. And you can absolutely do the same. There is no need to rush to a product. There's no need to rush to marketing. There is no need to rush to branding. You can just start with a blog and try to work on gaining your traffic, gaining your subscription, gaining your community, because that's essentially what Into the Gloss did. I think for Night and Light, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. That's what I want to do, is I want to create a loyal following, hopefully a very large group of people who are curious about morning routines and nighttime routines and how to get the best skin for them. I don't want to market something that I can't deliver. I want to market a blog. I want to market content. I want to create a community of people who care about something: morning routine, nighttime routine, skincare. I want them to care about all natural products. That's my goal. That's a very easy goal. That's something that I can achieve in a couple of years worth of content. I can get people who actually care about what I have to say or about what my team has to say. I don't think I need to tell you this, but nearly 9 years after Into the Gloss turned into Glossier, it is now one of the largest skincare brands or cosmetic brands in the world. Nobody says you have to start with a product. Nobody says you have to start with anything at all other than content, which is probably the route that I would like to take. I want to take a route where I'm, you know, doing minimal work. I'm creating a magazine or a blog or content around something. That's kind of how I've done all of my businesses, is where I create content around a certain subject. I create a community of people who resonate with the content, and then I create a product. That's kind of how I've always done it, and I'm probably going to do that the same thing with Night and Light, with this business. Last but not least, the company that I want to talk about last is just simply called Moroccan Oil. The real reason that I want to end on this company, MoroccanOil.com, is because they have simplified the product. You do not have to create some extremely complicated blend in order to make a viable and sellable product. You just need to create something simple, something marketable, and this is it. 100 mils of simple argan oil they sell for $48 US. Just to give you some context here, my wife bought the same amount of pure argan oil from a market here in Agadir, Morocco for 40 dirhams. That's about $4 US. That's not in volume, that's just 100 mils off the street in Morocco. So if we were to actually buy this in volume, we could probably get this at a lower cost. But even without those things, that's still about a 92% margin. I don't know what MoroccanOil.com is actually buying their argan oil for, but I can tell you what we can get it for just by being here in Morocco, and we can manage about 92% margins, which is absolutely insane. I mean, any investor who's investing in a company is going to be looking for like 60, maybe 70% margins. 70% margins would be considered really good. Before I get sober, I really need to mention that this hotel put fucking king cobras in front of my daughter. I couldn't get it on film because my phone had died, but they put king cobras and around children, which is it's amazing, right? It's amazing. Is it cruel? Is it? I don't know. When I was a kid, king cobras were like a work of science fiction. I can't even believe that that she managed to see king cobras in real life. Actually, like the man was like holding it like this, like look, he was like threatening the king cobra, like come at me, bro.